Hi, I'm Tyler Henderson, and the dictionary.com word of the day is tyro. I say that not because they're paying me to say that, but because I really like the dictionary.com word of the day and try to stay up on it because words are important. But, more importantly, tyro means a beginner or learner in anything. Why is that relevant? Today is our very first Botany Tuesday video on this channel. I'm excited for two reasons. One, I think I fixed a little bit of my camera angle problem, which will be an entirely new problem as soon as I get another better camera or change locations, which is likely to happen very soon. But small victories, that's what matters. And secondly, I located the thermostat in this room, which means I turned off the air conditioning and hopefully eliminated a lot of the ambient noise that was causing all of that weird buzzing. So, let us begin. The thing about Botany Tuesday and why the word tyro is important to me is because it's actually my favorite thing about Botany Tuesday. I don't actually know anything about botany, really. It's a passion of mine, I guess you could say, because I really like plants, and I want to learn about them. But this is less me trying to communicate my knowledge of botany and more like me learning with the world. I think that's really cool, and I wish there were more of that in schools, but this is not a video about the faults of the education system. So I guess that's the thing about Botany Tuesday that's cool to me, and really the most like life. You don't have to know a lot about something to be an expert or skilled in it, to be passionate about it, to try at it. And I think this sort of thing is really illustrated in the story of how Botany Tuesday even got started. The first time we really did this, it was more the initiative of my friend Dan Basilone. He is not here because he is at a different college. I should do a video with him actually because he's a really interesting person and you guys would love him. What happened was the school I went to had a rotunda by the jazz room, which is like these curved benches and a lot of tile, and honestly every hallway in the school looked the same, but this one had a curved area, and that is why my friend group and I all hung out there before classes began. One day I was there drinking a smoothie. A Bolthouse Farm smoothie. You know the ones that are like square bottles and overpriced but taste great and also have fruit in them, which is good for you. I don't remember the flavor, but it was probably one of the super fruit ones because of just berries were happening in that smoothie. And also pomegranates. And so when you look on the back of a Bolthouse Farm smoothie, you see they have cute little pictures and the real life practical quantity of the fruit that goes into it. So it would be like, 3 blueberries, a quarter of an apple, 2.5 strawberries, and then it had a listing for like 13 pomegranate arils. Like I had eaten pomegranates before, and I knew how they functioned with like you break open the skin and there are all the seeds, but I didn't know that that was what they were called until that moment. So I was curious about that, even though it is actually probably the common term for it. I was curious about pomegranate arils, what makes an aril, why we call it that, and if there were other fruits that involved arils. A lot of really specific questions for a fruit, but I guess I cared. I guess I am passionate about pomegranates. That's me. Pomegranates and avocados, love them. Dan, my friend, is, and Dan being the seeker of knowledge that he is, immediately pulled out his phone. That's what we do in our 21st century lives. And I don't know why, this side note here, I don't know why there's like this stigma with the older generation where like that's some kind of problem where we have all this information at our fingertips and we just like look it up and there it is. I guess maybe they think it's destroying our patience or devaluing the knowledge, but we can know so much about the world around us because other people have given it to us. That's beautiful. That's why I like Wikipedia, which is an entire other conversation. Another thing, Dan already knew about this particular kind of fruit part or classification, I guess you would call it. I'm not sure the exact terms here, obviously. I'm not a botanist. But he knew about this term, and it's called a druplet. It is a great word. I'm a fan. D-R-U-P-E-L-E-T. And has no semblance to the word D-R-O-O-P. When I was trying to research this again for this video, I could not find anything about druplets, and that is because I had no clue how they were spelled. So I thought the entire botanical world had just given up on them. Learn spelling, stay in school, kids. Dan had this idea of a druplet, and he had the idea of an arrow, and we were trying to form a definitive distinction between them. It's easier to start with a drupe. Not a druplet, a drupe. There's like a difference between the two. These are called stone fruits or drupes, and essentially these come from one flower and one ovary. Not being botanist is kind of hard for the average person to put that into the context of their life. So found some common examples. Mango, olives, pistachios, apricots, cherries, nectarines, peaches, plums, and coffee, actually. Sometimes really easy to forget that it's like a berry. It's this red small berry, and inside the seed, that is the coffee. Spinning off of the drupe idea, we have what is called an aggregate fruit. And so these fruits are also from one flower, but they have multiple ovaries involved in the actual fruit. It's just a cluster of all these small individual little fruit parts all on one flower. Each of the little fruit parts are called druplets, and some of the best examples of these that I can think of are raspberries, blackberries, berries in general. Like, you know what I'm talking about. They look like little jello sacks. But anybody who's come across a raspberry or a blackberry knows exactly what I'm talking about. Naturally, next you would think of arils in a pomegranate because they're so similar. It's like a squishy, fleshy thing surrounding the seed, which is true for all three, drupes, druplets, arils. But the distinction lies, at least as far as I can tell, in that while a drupe or the collection of druplets make up the actual fruit, the aril does not. When you have a pomegranate flower, this whole pod-like thing forms out of it, and that is the fruit, and contained within the fruit are the arils, which function only as some kind of seed covering. But the drupe and the druplets are exposed to elements, they are the fruit, and they form on the flower where the actual whole pomegranate would. And that is that. That is it. That is the distinction as far as I can tell between druplets and arils, and this is the debate which brought Botany Tuesday to life. If you have any better information, let me know, because like I said, I'm not an expert and love all the help I could get. I love plants. Plants are great. I also love all of you guys. You are my favorite. Don't ever change. A green stain on my shirt right now. I don't know if you can see it. That is from my succulents. That is their chlorophyll. That is their blood.